Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Wednesday, it's April 29th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And for the most part, this is a range day. And we spent most of the day inside of this range between 2095 or so and 2104. We had a couple of breaks higher and we had a break lower. For the most part, we spent 90% of the day in that range. Um, However, having said that, there was a two-tiered channel working down. We got a break here, moved to a new low, and then we trended up until we got a break. We actually had a break there and a new high, and then we started trending lower again. So all the trend lines worked out. The short-term ones worked out really well. The larger one, uh, the one going up worked out as you would expect. Uh, the only thing is, we spend most of the day in a range. So you could have played this either way. Early on, I played the range and played these shorter term trend lines. Um, but it was obvious in the end that this channel was right. And you would have had this after these two. If you just put that trend line on those first two swings, then it gets confirmed here. This confirms it again. There's really a short right here that I forgot to mark. I need to go back and mark that one. And if you were paying attention, you might have even reversed there, but I don't really like the reversal because there's too big a chance it hits and turns back down. But there is a short right there that I forgot to mark. So, um, but you can see the big picture there. Now let me back out and let's talk about the trades. And in the end, a really good trading. We've had some good trading days the last few days. So plenty of movement. You can see there's lots of volume there. Look at all the bars. So plenty of volume. Uh, there's enough movement in each direction, even for a range day, to try to make some money. So, but early on, I played it as a range day until really right in here, and then I was playing it as a trend. But we got the break in the new low, and then the trend switched. So, um, but let's talk about the trades. I came in, and I usually start around 7. So the first trade I saw was right here. This is really a two. Even though this is a new low, this looks close enough to be a two-legged correction. You do have to go short right here at the very low, but it's inside this channel, and this is obvious. It's a clear channel. It's obvious. You might have used a limit order when we got that break and got in a little bit higher, which you could have, but it turns out to be a pretty good move down, uh, and we end up getting a couple more swings down. I don't think you want to take any more of these shorts. This one was tempting, um, but we're not back to the EMA yet. There's too big a chance that you get that little break and it moves higher. So you're better off to. And then by the time you get the second entry, you're way down here. And so I think you just no other trades there. You just kind of got to sit tight. Um, it looked like it was going to set up one more short here, but it didn't. It kept going higher. And then you get a notice how it goes through the EMA, pulls back, and tests it here. But you get a failed second entry short here and a nice little reversal type bar. I liked going long right there. It didn't go very far, and then it backs up, but notice it never broke below that bar. That's why we want to put our stops there, because that's generally you're not going to go back below those areas. If you do, then you probably misread it. I don't think you want to enter on that second entry, although you could have right here. But when it turned down and failed again and went up, that's two more tests of that low and bouncing off the EMA. I liked going long there. And then there's even what I'd call a breakout pullback long right here. This one was tempting, but it's right into this resistance kind of area here. You probably could mark this green. Aggressive traders probably going to take that trade, but I think it's a little aggressive. But I'll mark it green because it is a breakout pullback long of this little double top right here. It does kind of fit what's going on. But notice we had this break of this channel and two legs up to a new high, so it makes it really suspect. And you didn't have the channel in place, the bigger channel yet. You wouldn't have got that till you got these couple of swings here. So it's just kind of iffy. But once we got these two swings, you draw your your trend line across here. You may not know exactly where this goes right here, but you only have to get close. And then it pulls back and touches it and turns down. So that's a second entry. I marked it green because it's not a great signal bar, but it is the third touch of that trend line, and it confirms it. And you can see it dropped really quick, a real quick, easy scalp, and then it pulls back again and turns back down. And so when it broke lower there, just go short, and that was a pretty good trade that you could ride all the way to the lows. You probably would have wanted to exit here after we had the break of this trend, this little trend line. You're looking for prices to come here, but I probably, I would recommend exiting here because sometimes it doesn't break lower and it reverses and goes higher. So, um, but I was really hoping prices would break on through and come down and test the lower trend line, but it just didn't happen today. Um, we're starting to get a lot of buying coming in at these lower prices. So it reverses here, but anyway, you get your failed second entry long there, another quick easy scalp, and then it reverses. I just don't see anywhere that you could get long in here that's very good. Maybe this little trap where it went lower and then went out the top side. Um, but those dojis and all, I just didn't feel comfortable marking it. There is a failed second entry short there, but we're still below the EMA. There's still a chance we can move down here. I just don't. Actually, that one probably should be green because most of the time those traps do not fail, and that's a pretty good reversal bar. I'll mark that one green, but I'm still not crazy about it. Would have worked. And, obviously the place to exit is back at this trend line, so exit a tick or so in front of that. It turns down and you get a pretty nice bearish bar, but I would wait on a second entry here and counting off the high. So the first entry is the first move down. It pulls back, and when it goes lower, I like going short on that one. I'd probably use a limit order here, and you could have gotten filled to ticks back into that, but you would have gotten filled on your even a stop there, just enough to get your stop, and then it reverses. Um, you might have wanted to go long here, but if you saw this channel, there's no way to go long there. We've already had the close outside this channel, the new high. It is two legs down. But I just think there's too big a chance it hits there and turns back down again, and then you get the failed second entry long, and you're looking to go short. It's just not a good place to go long. Even though it worked, this is one of those that I'm always talking about. Yeah, you got to watch it go without you, but the right move is not to enter because 9 times out of 10 it'll turn up and then turn back down and trap you. So, the right play here was to watch that go without you. And then you get a move down. Again, it's a pretty good setup bar right there. Your signal bar is really right here, and it's a doji. And this is an important area to be watching. So a really aggressive trader might go short there, but I'm not even going to mark it in green. I think you're better off to wait here, and you get that setup right here. I still mark this one green. It's a second entry short, but it's not a very good setup bar. Again, it's also, notice the move up, the pull back, the second. So there's really two legs up there. On a smaller chart, there'd be a second entry short there. But I'm still going to mark this one aggressive because it's not a great setup bar. Let it break lower and drop a limit order in there on this one. And see if you can get a little better entry, which you could have, and then it just takes off. And then you get the really good setup here. Notice pull back first entry, pull back second entry. You do get the break of the channel here. But you're looking for prices to try to make a new low here because of the channel break. But I would also be looking for a measured move like so. And you see, and that puts prices right down about to where they bounced. I would at least be looking for them to go to here. But this turned out to be the move of the day, really. And so I probably would have exited, like I said, right in this little congestion. But it gives you another chance. It pulls back one more time, and this is like a breakout pullback short. And again, it's a little two-legged pullback. It's hard to see in there, but I like this one for a short just based on the fact that there's two failed attempts to go higher and a big reversal bar. So I marked it red as well. And plus, it's really right off that trend line. The trend line's not in the right place. It should be more like there. We did have the break and the leg down, but sometimes you get two legs, and you never know. This thing may take off. And I really thought it would head down here, and I thought you might get a measured move equal to that. It just didn't happen, but it was good for an easy scalp. And then it reverses, and this is what a reversal pattern looks like. Um, Notice this first entry short, and then it rockets up, and it goes right through. Then a second entry short, it fails. And you really could have gone long here. The reason I didn't mark this one is it's going long right back into the resistance area that's now, or the support area that's now kind of acting as resistance. So I just didn't like going long right there into that point. Looking back at it, you could probably say if it would have broke higher all in one bar, maybe, but the fact that it couldn't get above that's telling. And you see it turns right back down. I don't think you want to go short there. There's actually a shorter term trend line up through there too. And you can see that there's no break of it. So if I did anything there, I would go long. But I think you just have to sit that one out and you wait, and then you get a bounce right off that confirms that trend line. It's not a very good bar, so I would have waited on a break above it and then let it pull back some, and it would have gotten filled here, but you might have gotten filled on this first bar. But if you didn't enter here, you definitely want to enter here, because now you've got a failed second entry short going on here. And again, that's right off that trend line, a nice bullish bar. Just go along there. Look at that move. That's another great move for the day. And then it just kind of got hung in here. There's a short right here. I didn't mark it because we're trending up now, and I just didn't feel like you could go long or go short out of this. It's more of a channel now, and there is a midline in there. I don't have it on there, but you can see there's kind of a midline in there. And so I just didn't like going short right there. Looking back on it, maybe it might be a green, but I'm not even going to mark it, because I think you got to look for longs. And you get a second entry long here, but not a very good setup. So just wait and see if it pulls back and gives you a second entry off the low side, and it does right there. It didn't tick lower, but it does make a lower high. And so when it broke above that one, I liked it. And then you get a failed second entry short right here. And so I like that one. And it's also a breakout pullback long, because we shot through that previous high right there and pulled back and then went higher. And so I like that one. When it didn't go low, when it went lower here and didn't go above, this is another one you might get shaken out of. But and you definitely don't want to add back on there, I don't think so. But generally these traps work out if you're with the trend, and the trend is definitely up here. So stay with the trend, and the trend, that's the better way to play it. So I don't know why my line lately, I've had a hard time getting these lines straight for some reason. I guess because they're so long. Guess that's it right there. Fits a little differently like that though. Maybe that's why I got it mixed up. But anyway, that was the last trade. That got you into the 2 o'clock hour, and I didn't mark anything else after that. But again, it's just really a range day with a trend down and a trend up, and you got a break and a new low, and reverse, and you got a break, a new high, and a reversal. And your short-term trends all really played out today. So overall, it was a pretty good day. And even though it's a fairly tight channel here, there's enough room and enough things going on to where you could, it was a pretty good trading day. And there's plenty of volume. You can see that, the number of bars. So I kind of liked today. It was a pretty good trading day. And You know, if you were still playing the range in here, you probably, um, looking back on it, we really didn't get up there then, so that was another reason not to take those shorts. Um, and you could have taken that one, it might have worked, but you're usually better to wait on the second entry, and you never really get a decent one. So, but and we did have a break in new high yet, but a lot of times you get that second push, and it's usually a measured move. You measure that one, you can see it's really close. We missed it by a tick, maybe, being a measured move on a second leg. And one other thing I'll show you here, um, this overnight move, you want to measure that. And then when we started lower here, you want to measure that, and you can see that would have been your target back down here, and we got really close within maybe 2 or 3 ticks there. So use those measured legs. They come in very handy, and they're usually very accurate measurements to look for. Um, so, so it's just uncanny how well they work. And a lot of these pullbacks are going to be 50%, like this move right here. That's about a 50% pullback in this move down before it started back. And then this move here, that's about a 50% move. So that's something to watch for. Um, that's a, generally, and notice that move up, it moves back about 50%. And that's generally what you'll see. That's a good, healthy, see that move down there, and it pulls back, what, about 50%, and then it goes lower again. So that's a good measuring point, a good area to watch for and be watchful for. And if you get a big move like this and you get a 50% pullback and you get a good setup, that's another reason to maybe consider it. And I know you hadn't probably heard me talk about that much, but it's something to watch for. You don't want, I don't recommend you trading off that alone, but if you see it and you get a good setup, that just kind of confirms it. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. It's a beautiful day here. I'm going to get out of here early today, but this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.